All right, all right. Hey, welcome to the Go for CEO channel, bringing you the top small business owners in the area, small business owners in the sense of that it is startups to 25 million in revenue. And we chose this criteria because we really feel that overall, small business owners really are in the midst of middle America and building the infrastructure of the American economy. And we really wanted to bring these stories to you because we know that there's so much opportunity out there to learn from great CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, people that have the mindset. And just so happens that we have the man for shifting your mindset today. HCG Consulting Solutions, my friend also, and proud to say that, Mr. Dr. Peter James. How are you, Peter?
I'm doing awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me, John, on this show. I'm excited. So I guess when I hit 25 million, I can't come back on, right?
That's right. You're done. You're done. You cannot come on the Go for CEO channel.
Sweet.
So,
Okay, cool. I'm
so
looking forward to that.
hey, that's a great goal. I want to see all my interviews go that
Oh,
route, man.
that's right.
So,
Good stuff.
and I appreciate you bringing that up because it's funny. People ask me, well, why are you just randomly saying 25 million? Well, from my research, I mean, at least from what I've been able to see and being in my own business a few times as well, 25 million is kind of that next stratosphere where you start to cross that path. And then you get into more IPO status where you start to think about, man, I'm getting big enough that I could stay private or I can go, public offering, all those types of things. So that's kind of the 25 million and $1. We're not going to talk to those people. So, but entrepreneurs too. So excited to build that part of it too. So excited to have you on HCG Consulting Solutions. Peter, we like to always start. Tell us a little bit about kind of where you came from, what's your background, and a little bit obviously leading up to how you started HCG Consulting Solutions.
Absolutely. Hey, yeah. Again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm originally from New York City, Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. Live now in the Chicago west suburbs. Been here for about 13 years or so now, man. So Chicago's my home. Actually, it's the longest I've lived anywhere in my life, even from New York. So really, these cold winters, I'm used to them now, man. So don't know when I'm leaving. But the business, of course, is really my bread and butter. I love the coaching and consulting work. I'm a leadership and executive coach. That's the big part of what I do. But also, I do a lot of consulting, training, facilitating with organizations, and just really love the around leadership development. Really love that around one-on-one development, but also around business growth overall. So tying those things I do, the coaching, the leadership development, into business growth for the benefit of the overall organization.
Love it. So tell us a little bit about kind of your upbringing. I mean, obviously New
Yeah.
York. I know just being a personal friend of mine, military background, which thank you for serving and just kind of get us into, did you have some corporate experience initially? How did
Yeah.
you start to meld that mindset that ultimately you talk about a lot in your business? So
Yeah, good stuff. Single moms. My mom was an immigrant from St. Vincent in the Caribbean,
mm,
and uh, gave me a lot of values, really valued education. So I went to college in Atlanta, Georgia. After college, joined the United States Army as an officer in the Army, did about 7 years or so in the military, did some time over in Afghanistan after 9/11, showing my age now a little bit. After the military experience, shifted over into the corporate world, where I did sales and marketing with a large pharmaceutical firm out of London, and did that for almost 10 years, maybe a little bit too long,
mm.
because I did launch, pursued my education and continued my education, but also launched a couple of businesses on the side while I was working for the firm, i.e. the side hustle for sure. And enjoyed that. Really got excited about this coaching thing for sure. Watched coaches and consultants come into the organization and really pick their brain a little bit, ask them the do's or don'ts, the positive, the negatives around the entire experience. Transitioned then thereafter to higher education, where I began teaching in colleges and universities, quite a few of them, as a matter of fact. And so I was beginning to sharpen my saw to a certain extent in front of an audience, in front of students in this case, and also learning how to be a better facilitator, a better teacher for that matter. Teach primarily business, entrepreneurship type classes, organizational development, and continue to do that to this day. But definitely have really focused on launching this business and expanding it to a certain extent. 2020 has been a pretty good year overall.
It's interesting. You have this upbringing with a single mom that shared these core values,
Yeah.
your work ethic, and the things that you mentioned before. A lot of entrepreneurs, they've got to stem themselves and get a foundation from somewhere, and that sounds like an incredible foundation that your mom was able to put together for you. Going into pharmaceuticals and spending 10 years, like you said, maybe a little bit too long, in your opinion, right? But you had these other ideas and things. So were you always just kind of trying to see what fundamentally played into your desires, your strengths, or how did you develop some of these businesses that ultimately ended up this one?
Yeah, I often think that a lot of what I have become has been a product of the military, my discipline, things like that.
Mhm.
But it's deeper, and you're right. It actually goes back to my mom and her upbringing. So being an immigrant, coming to this country, I mentioned education was a main part of my life. And for most immigrants who are listening to this or watching this, education was the key to success.
Mhm.
And so that was already a part of me. It still is a big, big part of me also. But she also ingrained in me a lot of different characteristics, a lot of different positives that I carry with me to this day. So I'm an only child, right? Don't have any, was not raised with any brothers and sisters. And many people who hear that will say, okay, well, he was spoiled. Quite the contrary. She made me work for every single thing that I had, every single thing that we had. We weren't rich. So learned a lot of how to make something out of nothing to a certain extent. And I, again, carried that with me through the military years and even into the corporate years, learning out and figuring out how to take advantage of the opportunities that are around me or the things that are around me, people even to a certain extent, how to partner with the right people around me in order to benefit what I'm doing, benefit my career, and also continue to strive for excellence, high performance, and even that next level to a certain extent. So yeah, those are some characteristics, some gems that I hold near and dear to me for sure.
In the military, was there any one or two things that they were kind of exemplified, to set and grow that foundation that you already had?
Yeah, that discipline, man. So while I even had a level of discipline, the military really, really put instilled that in me to a
Mhm.
certain extent. And again, I carry that to with me even to this day, where I am applying. I almost cherish that I feel like I can outwork whoever is around me. I can put in those times, those late hours as needed in order to excel in whatever I'm putting my put efforts towards. So whether it is my financial goals for my business or business goals and objectives, I feel like I can see those through all the way to the end.
I love it. I love it. And again, you get to a point where ultimately that fire is burning in
Yeah.
you. You've had a couple tastes of entrepreneurship while being in corporate America. You had that 7 year run in military. So we get to a point where, HCG consulting and solutions, right? You,
Yep.
you you have the mastermind. Tell us a little bit about what you start to think of. Why did you choose that name? What are some foundational things that got you to start your consulting solutions business?
Where did I choose the name? That's a good question. So the name of the organization is actually HCG, stands for the Human Capital Group.
Okay.
Right? So that's the original name of my organization. However, many business owners know that when you start searching out the incorporated, you have to get incorporated your business, or you're looking for domains and everything like that. You have to kind of tweak it a little bit to ensure that it matches. So the Human Capital Group at the time was taking their, when I went to incorporate, it was taken already in the state of Illinois. So I had to tweak it a little bit. I already had a logo for HCG, the Human Capital Group. So I didn't want to change that. So I changed it to HCG Consulting Solutions. And it's funny because now that I think about that, that consulting solutions part came from my accountant's title was AMC Accounting Solutions. I'm putting a plug in for Anne Marie, my accountant.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I like that consulting solutions, so, or accounting solutions in that case. So I think I'll do consulting solutions. And so it stuck and continued on that vein. But Again, as I mentioned earlier, coaching, consulting, training, facilitating is what we do for sure. And we really are looking to work with leaders of organizations in order to allow that culture to support their business objectives, right? The culture of that organization, how does it strengthen the business objectives? So whether it is one-on-one coaching, team coaching, leadership development, management development, or even business analysis overall, we aim to partner with the organization in order to help them get to their next level. And I'm excited about that. And again, it's a great approach. This year, as a matter of fact, actually in the last few years, I've been shifting a little bit to include the diversity, equity, and inclusion piece of that, how that can benefit their culture overall. And I've really been focusing on that this year, 2020, and has been serving me well for sure.
And as I perused the website, one of the
Yeah.
things that caught me is this is one of the sayings on his website, ladies and gentlemen. In all walks of life, the ultra successful have a secret weapon, and it is utilized to help achieve the next level in their performance, even though they have already achieved some level of success. We often call this secret weapon coach, mentor, tutor, sensei, or trainer. So, Mr. Dr. Peter James, who was one of those people for your
Oh,
life
wow.
as you started to really kind of mastermind HCG Consulting Solutions?
Uh, Quite a few people, quite a few individuals. Um, so whether it was my mom growing up, who was that mentor, that parental figure for me, whether it was my drill sergeant when I was in the military, right, who I learned that was my first taste of real outside leadership, management to a certain extent. Whether it was bosses in the corporate environment who did or did not exemplify phenomenal leadership capabilities, I learned something from all of these individuals that I was able to apply to both myself, but also to apply for the benefit of this business and leadership training. So quite recently, I'm a coach, emotional intelligence coach as well. And I like to call the father of emotional intelligence, Dr. Daniel Goleman, has been his program has been and he has been a mentor to me overall as it relates to now as a leader. What do I desire? What type of characteristics do I desire for a leadership capability in myself? But now how also I can help and mold leaders of organizations to carry those leadership capabilities into their own education. Into their own organization. So it's one thing to just say you're a leader or a business owner or a startup owner for a business, but now as you're bringing in employees and you're bringing in people around you, how do you continue to evolve your own leadership capability? How are you open to improving your leadership capability as you continue to go on? Because there's no such thing as a perfect leader, right? How does your leadership capability continue to evolve for the betterment of your organization? And those are some of the questions that we aim to ask. And so going back to your initial question, yeah, lots of individuals in my life who I can point to say they have helped me get to where I am. They have helped me get to help me become the person that I am. But it's also, I'll finish off with this. It's a continued journey. It's a continued journey to be a better leader and to improve myself from that perspective.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, look, nobody does this life alone, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
If
Yeah.
you are proclaiming that, there's probably a few people that will raise their hand and say, "Hey, I helped you." Right? So,
Yeah.
exciting to hear that. So, hey, so you had to go through this initial trial of the name. You developed the vision of it. What are some things that you did? Did you put a strategic business plan together, a SWOT plan? What are some areas of things that you said to yourself, okay, I'm going to have these two things? Did you mentioned an accountant. Did you
Yeah.
set up
Yeah.
that team, accounting and lawyer and all that stuff? So give us a little bit of the infrastructure so that you launch your business and how you started that.
So it's funny because, obviously I teach business and entrepreneurship.
Mm,
And then I've launched a few businesses as well. So I know what needs to go into businesses theoretically, and then I know what really actually needs to go into businesses for them to succeed overall. And it's interesting that business plan conversation is a controversial one because, the business plan is a necessity. The 30, 40, 50-page business plan, not necessarily, unless, of course, you're looking for capital, whether it is loans or investors who are going to want to read about what makes you so special that I need to invest in you, right? But if it's you by yourself or you have a partner and you are both trying to really launch that plan, a 1 or 2 page plan and maybe all that you need to start out with. There are definitely a ton of 1 page business plans out there right now, that will help you align your mission, your vision, your objectives, who your resources around you, who's your competition, stakeholders, your SWOT analysis, as even you've mentioned there for sure. And those are some of the basic things that I knew that I needed to start out with for sure. Just some of those simple areas. Have a focus. What's the pain point of my customer? Who is my niche customers? So one of the biggest things that businesses need to really be aware of are, who are your ideal targeted customers, number one. And then number two, who is your competition that's out there doing this? So your competition, not so much to really actually compete with them, but to be aware of what they're doing so that you could separate yourself a little bit from them. Maybe utilize, borrow from what they're doing to apply to your business, but also separate yourself for the benefit of your customer. So it's really important to really know who you are, who your business is, who you're serving, and then how that evolves moving forward.
Wow, what a great breakdown too. Many different areas, and even the one pager, just giving you that solid foundation to really enact on your vision, right? So,
Yes.
an interesting question that popped in my mind as you were going through that is, you're in corporate America, you became a professor, and then you launched this business. You put those trials and tribulations out there, right, to kind of set everything up and even put a simple but effective business plan. How did you get your first customer? It's not really traditional marketing. It's not. I'm assuming you didn't have a product that you're selling online through some sort of website. How do you sell yourself, and who was your first customer? How did you get them?
Yeah, wow. You're taking me down memory lane there, John. Appreciate you, man. Word of mouth, honestly, referrals was my first customer. Someone saying, wow, Pete's a great coach. You need to work with him. And that's how I got my first customer. And, actually for a while there, I was doing some pro bono coaching
Hmm.
in order to get my feet wet, and in order to get that experience as well. So in order to expand my business, I was willing to go through the pain of little to no revenue for a while there until I could get some traction going and start to receive some of those as the clients. And then over time that evolves, where while I'm still getting referrals, now I have a more of a robust marketing plan out there where I'm utilizing speaking engagements or networking opportunities, or having the website and utilizing social media to my advantage as well. In 2020, we've of course experienced this pandemic, and so the networking events, whether it's in Chicago or around, has seriously scaled back. And
Hmm.
now I'm using more online opportunities, even such as this right now, number one, but Zoom and the social media has now taken on a new level. So LinkedIn is my world to a certain extent, where I'm reaching out to potential clients as well as showcasing my skill set to the best of my ability in order to attract future clients.
And one of the things, just because we're friends, I like to share with the audience. You have a morning message that you do on Mondays.
Yeah.
How did you develop that? I mean, those are all little tweaking things. You're talking about social media and LinkedIn, and certainly your presence. I saw you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook, you're on, LinkedIn. So, share with us a little bit about why you decided to also these Monday morning messages to keep your, clientele or prospects engaged.
And it's funny you asked that question because as you mentioned all those social media platforms, I've started already to think I need to scale back a little bit,
Mm.
analyze my metrics and see where is my business coming from the most based on all of these social media platforms. Therefore, where should I be spending more of my time? And
Mhm.
it's clearly LinkedIn, which is why I'm going into 2021. I'll have more of a focus there for sure. I have always wanted to do an article or a blog for sure. And this Monday Morning Minute has been a passion of mine for years, even before I started it. I used to follow a guy, and he did a Monday motivation article, and I was like, oh, I like that. You know, Monday morning, no one wants to get up, no one wants to get their work going. So I thought this was a good opportunity to give individuals that boost of motivation that they needed to get their week going well. And the Monday Morning Minute is the brainchild of that to a certain extent, is really the fruition of that. And in it, I just a quick read, a dose of inspiration, dose of motivation, to allow individuals who read it to think a little bit deeper on a certain topic or a certain objective for that week. So maybe to look at things through a different lens perspective, especially from a leadership perspective we just mentioned there. How can you be more empathetic and see things differently than you would normally? And I think that's what I'm attempting to do in that Monday Morning Minute. And then also hopefully help individuals keep thinking about what their next level is. How can I become more of a high performer? And those are a lot of the topics that I talk about in that Monday Morning Minute for sure.
So there's some killer insights in there, right? I mean, obviously you've built a following, people
Mhm.
sign up. How have you converted those opportunities where you're giving free content, you're giving valuable content to be able to convert them into, dollars, right? To be able to become clients. Has there been any techniques or
Yeah.
things that you do?
Well, the articles definitely showcase at least my mindset to a certain
Mm.
extent, which is always beneficial for the reader. I always say that person who reads my Monday Morning Minute or the person that I meet one-on-one at a networking event, they're not my customer,
Mm.
but they know somebody who is. Right. And so that's my objective. Anybody I meet, I'm not going to pressure you to sell you on working with me today, but let's have a easy conversation, talk about what you do. We could talk a little bit about what I do, and just have an insightful conversation that makes you go, huh, never thought about that. That's very insightful. And it's very intriguing to hear about some of the things that you do. And you know what? I know somebody who would probably love to work with you. You know, that right there is everything, Whereas there's no pressure for me to be able to sell myself. It's just me being naturally who I am, but you being able to see a little bit of my capabilities, and then me to learn a lot about you and how I could help you out in this world as well. And it's a win-win for everybody involved. So that's how I use my networking capabilities, the Monday Morning Minute as well, so that individuals can see a little bit about me. Maybe it'll spur them to go to my website. Maybe it'll spur them to go to my LinkedIn page, or maybe it'll just spur them to shoot me a message to say, "Hey, I'd love to have a conversation with you." Absolutely, let's go ahead and have that talk.
And the interesting part of that is, Robert Kiyosaki, and it almost comes up in every interview I've had with Go for CEO, is that employee mindset,
Yeah,
the self-employed, the business owner, and the investor, right? The cash flow quadrants, and so help me understand, and the audience, I did it help? What was some of the, I guess, the inside scoop of being a professor, you're building up your momentum to kind of launch this business. Was it helpful to have a base for those of us that have a job, that are looking to kind of do a gig type of business, or something that to branch out because of the
yeah.
experience that we have? Does that make sense? So I'm trying to find out, like, what can you share with the audience that really allowed you to give content first, give, and then receive? That's hard for some people, right? I mean,
Yeah,
especially if they need to make an income today.
yeah,
How do they not sell you something? But I really love what you just shared, which is give,
yeah,
encourage, put something into someone, and it seems like it's come back tenfold.
And I've intentionally made it become natural. I desire for you to succeed in everything that you do and touch, John. So I want to be able to help and benefit you to do that, to do just that in some form or fashion. I'm not even quite sure. Maybe it's just a quick conversation that you and I have that's going to ultimately benefit your business. But going back to your question, someone sent me a quote last week, and it goes like this: your salary is the bribe they give you to forget your dreams. Right? Let me say that again. Your salary is the bribe they give you to forget your dreams. And so
Wow.
no matter what hat you're wearing that you've described, whether it's the professor, the business owner, or the leader, the soldier in my case, or the salesperson, it's important for me to understand my role, but it was also just important for me to not lose sight of my fulfillment, right? Because it's easy to forget that. It's hard to start a job, start a business. It's hard to start a new entrepreneurial venture. It's easy to go work for somebody because they pay you every other week, and they'll make you forget about your dreams. Ideally, the best companies will hopefully line up your dreams with that position, that career to a certain extent, but few do that. Because that CEO, that organization has their objectives, and that they hope you line up with. They're actually, one of their main jobs is to sell you on their culture, sell you on their organization, so that you can become sold out for it, so that you continue to stay with them and give them all that you have. But by doing so, what are you losing? What dreams, objectives, and goals have you lost? And I determined in my life that I would not let those organizations steal my goals and my dreams. Therefore, my ventures had started even while I was working for those organizations. I wanted to make sure that I was still fulfilling my dreams and goals. And even so much to the point right now where I even still have my foot teaching a little bit, but I'm also able to fulfill my goals and fulfill my dreams for the long term as well. And I encourage those of you who are still under the corporate umbrella to take a step back and reflect on, what is it that I really desire to do? Am I fulfilling my goals in my life? And if not, what are the steps that I might need to take to be able to do so?
And ladies and gentlemen, I mean, you're hearing the depth and the soul of, I think, the way that Dr. Peter James, just shares kind of what he's been thinking, how he put it together. So I really appreciate that. It really came through, and that quote was gave me goosebumps real quick, because it
Yeah,
certainly is something, right? As we live our life, I just turned 45, and it's something that is in my brain, like legacy. What do I want to leave behind? My 3 girls and all that stuff. So I hope ladies and gentlemen, you're enjoying this. This is a powerful message, and repeat that, rewind that last minute and a half or two for yourself, and listen to that quote, and listen to what Dr. Peter James is sharing with you. So let's get into a little bit of a shift here. No pun intended with shift your mindset, right? But the operations. So tell us a little bit about, on a day-to-day, what are you doing? How, when you meet a new opportunity, do you put them through some sort of discovery conversation? Do you have a tool that helps you then understand how you're going to proceed with that person or corporation?
Yeah, that's actually a good question. There is absolutely that consult phase where I'm meeting with someone who is interested in my services, for sure. And we're having a conversation in between a 15 and 30-minute conversation to identify what their pain point is, what their needs are to a certain extent. And listen, just quite frankly, if I'm the individual or my organization is the company that can help fulfill or meet their needs or fill their gaps to a certain extent, fill their pain points. And so it's me asking a lot of questions, doing a lot of active listening, for sure, to really identify their needs. And listen, if it's not me, if it's not this organization, HCG Consulting Solutions, to fill their needs, I'm more than happy to refer. I'm more than happy to let them know that, listen, I want the best for your organization, and it may not necessarily be me to fill your needs. So it's very important that I identify what they need, and then lastly, identify if my skill set, if our skill set really can help to fill that need, and when that happens, chart the path for their organization to let them know here's what it's going to look like to do so. That may come in the form of a proposal. That may come in the form of, hey, here's what I know right off the top of my head, that how this can become a success for you, how we can partner in order to accomplish your goals that you set out to find out about.
Nate, so you have some tools, you have a discovery way of finding out how this potential prospect can turn into a client. What are some of the ways that you bill out then? Do
Mm.
you require like 50% of whatever fee you're going to do? Do you ask for retainers? How is that structure set up for yourself?
Yeah, good question. And I'm big on meeting the client where they are. So my rates are my rates, obviously. However, if the client would be better served paying me up front, there's a discount for doing so for sure. If they would rather a monthly payment terms, there's an opportunity for that also. If we want to do split payments or whatever the case may be, I do have tools and resources to be able to chop that up as they need for that matter as well. As it relates to fees and costs, I'm at the point right now where I'm not lowering my fees. This is an interesting conversation. I'm not lowering my fees for my client. I am being transparent with them and letting them know here's where I am, and here's how we can meet. We can do the fee schedule so that it helps your organization, helps your objectives out as well. I think that's very important because I'm not shorting them. I'm not shorting my client at all. My objective is whoever client I'm working with, I'm giving them 120% of my capabilities. So whether it is incorporating a 360-degree feedback, whether it is utilizing some of the personality assessments or coaching techniques or facilitating techniques, maybe listening sessions, and maybe that in-depth management training program that we need to tailor for their organization, all of that is us giving our 150% so that the outcome is totally where they need it to be, plus some. I need them to walk away from this engagement as if this was the best best use of their time. And that's the objective that we set out on all the time. And so the fee schedule line up with that for sure.
Interesting. And it sounds like, I mean, when you first started the consulting solutions businesses, you were referred almost to an individual coaching perspective,
Mm-hmm.
but then you've expanded into a corporate perspective and helping. Is it divisions within companies, or do you like to take smaller businesses with certain types of revenue streams that can pay for you and help the whole business? Do you start at the executive level? What are some insights on there?
Yeah, obviously depends on the size of the organization, how that works. So if it's smaller organization, um, 300 individuals to 500 individuals, excuse me, the 300 to 5,000 individuals, it may not be so much a division or a department because they're a smaller organization. But if it's a 50,000 group, then they have departments, divisions that they I'm working with for sure. And if I can't do it by myself, I have coaches that I can work with. I have a bench cadre of consultants that I can continue to work with to benefit this goal, benefit this objective overall. So, I like to call it bespoke. I really tailor it towards the needs of the organization, whatever their outcome, their training, their facilitation, their coaching needs are. We want to make sure that we are lining up specifically with what they need. And we'll make sure that the organization is fulfilled and that we put the right people in the right places for their benefit.
Neat. So you kind of transition a little bit from the operations and how you set up the opportunity, how you dive into your pricing model.
Yeah.
Now let's go into a little bit of scaling. You happen to mention a bench strength.
Yeah.
Do you also use maybe some in-house a virtual assistant, those type of things. Tell us a little bit about the infrastructure of HCC Consulting Solutions and how you operate with scaling it up.
Yeah, I have some virtual assistants and executive assistants that I'm utilizing to help manage my capabilities. So whether it is my schedule or my marketing or my customer management, CRM, I'm thinking about spreadsheets and everything that's floating around in my head. You know, I can't do it all.
Mm.
I just can't. I would like to think that I can. Because there are some days like I could do that, but the truth of the matter is, we all need support. We all need those individuals around us to help us scale, to help us grow. And so for me, it has not been hiring a full-time team yet. I see that on the horizon, but right now it's been contracting with the key individuals in order to help me be the best consultant, coach, or facilitator that I can be for the benefit of the organization. And again, if it's not me, I need to bring in those consultants or coaches that can support the initiative, support the contract, then I'm able to do so as well. So yeah, definitely I'm putting together, and you know what, John, it's an evolution. It's
Mm.
really, you take a step back, and right now we're in the month of December. So I'm thinking a lot about 2021. I'm thinking about a lot about the new year and how to put the right pieces in place so that the organization continues to thrive. And I think that's a constant evolution in every business owner's life.
No doubt, no doubt. When you refer out that business that maybe doesn't match up specifically with your service and solution, do you also then get a referral fee? How does that work out? Do you manage that payment through HGC Consulting Solutions
Yeah.
and then pay out that other individual that you're teaming up with?
Absolutely. So obviously, first and foremost, it's my network. I have a robust network that I can refer out to for sure. And in my network, it's almost like a rule of thumb. If someone is giving me a referral, I'm giving them 10% of what I make, just
Okay.
because it's loyalty, it's appreciation, it's, hey, listen, you didn't have to do this. So here's my demonstration of my appreciation as well. Do I expect that the same thing from the individual that I'm referring to? Not necessarily, but it's like a nice welcome surprise. Oh, I didn't expect those few $1,000s there. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, right?
Yeah.
So I definitely, and I tell you what, it definitely benefits the network by doing something like that overall. I'm going to want to do that again if someone did that for me. So that's definitely a big part of that. Again, I don't do it just to expect that back. That's not it. I'm actually doing that so that the client knows that I have his or her best interest in mind. And so I'm not the person for you, but I know somebody who is.
Okay. So nothing too formal as far as business or contracts, but something of an intended perception, right, inside of the organization, side of your network that you guys take care of each other,
Absolutely.
which is really nice. And like you said, I mean, I guess sometimes that could bleed through just the intention of when you're talking to someone.
Mhm.
They may or may not feel that you understand that you're going to go make money if you just refer it, but they feel that you do care about them because you're putting them in the right situation. So
Genuine. Yep. Very
interesting,
genuine.
interesting.
Yeah.
So we've talked about a little bit about scaling, a little bit about operations, and how you thought about everything. We lightly touched on marketing with your LinkedIn presence and how you're setting up everything. I really enjoyed your website. It's got a really dynamic scroll feature to it. It's got your face right at the homepage. When you scroll a little bit down, it's got some cool quotes. Is there anybody also that you've put in your team that are vendors to you that you could say, boy, without this a digital marketing person, this website person, without this accountant, without this attorney, how did you, as a self-employed, independent person, building to a business and organization type size, who do you have in your corner working with you?
Yeah, we don't have time to talk about all of those individuals for sure, but some of the key individuals are, yes, my accountant is very, very important. Early on, I had a lawyer to help me incorporate as well. I found that I can do that myself now, and I'm much better at that. But I do also have a legal service that I applied that I utilize in order to review contracts or review some things that I may not feel most comfortable with overall. I definitely have that network. I have a mastermind that I meet with on a regular basis to help bounce ideas off of, but also talk about my goals and my plannings and my strategies. We mentioned already virtual assistants, executive assistants as well. Uh, Marketing. I do have a marketing team that I'm actually working with right now to help me have a better marketing strategy. You know, oftentimes we think we can do it by ourselves. If you didn't have that experience educationally, you need to farm that out as well as time goes on. Don't get me wrong, early on, you may not have the resources, the revenue to be able to do so. But as time goes on, as you continue to bring in more and more revenue, definitely think about what your marketing strategy is for sure. So those are just some aspects. The accountant is like it's a no-brainer, dude. It's like someone who you really need to tell you what you don't know from a financial perspective, from a tax perspective overall as well. So I almost recommend an accountant for every business owner that I work with for sure.
I love it. Well, look, as we wrap up the interview here, and I really appreciate your time and sharing kind of the wisdom of how you set up HCG Consulting and Solutions. Um, we like to ask, part of CEO is client experience, employee engagement, and operational excellence for the CEO. So what is a value proposition, a differentiating factor of why people experience something so great? I know you talked a bit about it, but just maybe 30 seconds of why they should choose you in client experience.
Yeah, as you've mentioned, as we've had in this dialogue, I'm all about customer fulfillment, customer experience, taking care of the customer unlike any other. So, but where does this start? It starts with my employees or my staff that I'm working with. I want to ensure that they are taken care of, because in turn, that's going to help take care of the customer better. And I realize that oftentimes we think customer first, customer first, customer first. I have to disagree a little bit. Employee first, which leads to customer first, right? Because many of us have been to organizations or companies or restaurants where their employees are not taken care of, and you know how that experience is. Don't let that be you.
Definitely. So you kind of jumped right into the E for employee engagement, which sounds like you really value the people that you work with,
Absolutely.
your vendors and people that make you look good to help you, serve your clients the best way. And lastly is operational excellence. What do you think some things that you've done to be operationally excellent?
Wow. I'm continuously looking to see what the next level is, number one, but I'm also reviewing what I have in place right now to see if there's a way to improve processes from that perspective as well. So those of you business owners who are watching, you know that process improvement is like a thing. It's really a thing that you have to continue to reflect on a regular basis. It almost keeps us up to a certain extent at night. But carefully reviewing your key processes, your key metrics to ensure that their return is there. So that's become very important for me as my business has evolved, as my business has scaled, so that I'm becoming more efficient and thereby more effective overall. Yeah.
Really interesting. So, well, look, Dr. Peter James, I call you a friend and so appreciative of that. Thank you so much for coming on the Go for CEO channel. And ladies and gentlemen, let me have him also share with you what you're on all the social media sites, but share with them if you'd like, your phone number, your website, and the social media sites that you'd like them to visit.
Absolutely, yeah. First of all, I know my main company website is hcgconsole.com. That's hcgconsol.com. My personal website is shiftyourmindset.com, which is definitely corporate, but it really tells about the coaching experience in depth. You can catch me on LinkedIn and at Peter A. James, and actually all social media platforms at Dr. Peter A. James. That's at DrPeterAJames. feel free to reach out to me on any of those. And lastly, you can check me out at Dr. James at shiftyourmindset.com. That's Dr. James altogether at shiftyourmindset.com. So listen, I'm not hard to find. If you are interested and want to just even have a chat about your business, I'd be more than happy to. And you know, keep pressing on. Be safe, keep pressing on. There's always a next level. There's always another way to get there. There's always it's everything. Yeah, I think Maria Forleo has a book out there, is everything is figure outable. Everything is figure outable. I love that. So
Yes,
that's also for your business as well.
awesome. Well, what better way to end the broadcast today? And thank you so much, Peter, for joining the CEO, the Go for CEO movement. We're a community that in the next 6 to 12 months, we want to chime in again. We want to find out, hey, where is he gone? What are the next revenues? What is there a big company that he brought on board and is now doing some inside work for them? So excited to have you on in about 6 to 12 months. And thanks so much for coming on board.
Actually, I may not be able to make it because I'll be at 25 million there. So I'm sorry, man.
Hey, I'm excited to hear about that. So we will be pushing for that. Hopefully the second interview doesn't happen.
Right. Good stuff. Good chatting with you, John. Great show you got here.